to be able to introduce culture. We don't know how to broach the subject. That's what embarked me while I was doing my MBA to write a series of books. Now, I did want to write a lot more, then went to France and then to Philippines and then to Greece. And then I've done in Australia, broaching the multicultural sphere, available online. I'm not making any money from these books. Anybody from anywhere in the world. Hi, Sat Sri Akal ji. My name's Jamel Kaur Singh. I guess I'll start from the very beginning. I was born in England. My parents born in Malaysia. So I'm a few generations away from India, but I've been in Australia for 40 plus years. And I've seen Australia change dramatically in those 40 years from when we first came. I was the only coloured person in my school. Mum and Dad very much had to include a lot of our cultural content in the school, introducing the kids to rotis. Now every kid and their dog knows what naan and butter chicken is. Those sorts of things were really relevant for me growing up. But what I've seen is that parents that are coming to Australia now are doing less to create understanding in their wider community and just accepting if they're not getting treated correctly or people are misunderstanding. They're not bothering to correct because they don't want to be politically incorrect. And I think that has changed. If you ask me, did I suffer racism growing up? I'd say no. And that was 40 years ago, and I think that's just because my parents made sure there was understanding, there was education of my peers when I was growing up to make sure that there wasn't those miscommunications, because at the end of the day, bullying and racism is derived from fear. And one of the things that we've been doing is we've been teaching cultural education in schools for about 20 years. And teachers often ask me, and they say to me, Jamel, we don't have the resources that we need. We don't have the training to be able to introduce culture. We don't know how to broach the subject. And then what happened was during COVID, Kian, now he's 8 years old, but he'd started prep. And Hustle, my sister, she was working from home full time. So Kian spent a lot of time with me during COVID. I was the bubble house. And so I did a lot of his readers and library books with him. And what I realized is that in 20 years, when Sahil and Safal, my kids, were at school, there hasn't been change in the books that the kids are reading. Unfortunately, the books are either very white or very black. There's no real in between. There's no integration. There's no unity. There's no diversity in the books that they're reading. So that's what embarked me while I was doing my MBA to write a series of books. Now, I did want to write a lot more, but I thought I'd start with these. And what I did was I started with Vietnam, and I then went to France, and then to Philippines, and then to Greece, and then I've done in Australia where the kids have gone on a journey to Stradbroke Island. Now, the reason I chose the first 4 is because the cultures in those countries are very monoculture. And because it was targeted at level 2 reading with targeted vocabulary and teacher resources in it, broaching the multicultural sphere that we have in United Kingdom, in USA, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Australia, there's a lot more words that I'd need to use. So I've started a very basic English targeted vocabulary level. And I've also introduced the kids to hello, goodbye, thank you in the languages of the countries in which they've gone to. So what it is about is the 2 characters, Tara and Nanak. They go on journeys to different countries. They go in the Stradbroke Island, they've gone with their nana, and to Greece, they've gone with their family. To Philippines, they went with their nanny. To France, they went on a work trip with their mum. And so the idea is that they're traveling to different countries. The books touch culture, touch in that it touches food, the foods that you'd eat in those countries, the distance that you would travel to go to those countries, the language in those countries, a little bit of the history, some of the festivals, some of the things that the kids are introduced to. And so what I'm hoping is that every prep to two classroom in Australia will actually have these in their reading books. I'm in talks at the moment with ministers and Department of Education and stuff, but in the meantime, I've put them up on Amazon, available online. I'm not making any money from these books because they're print on demand. The idea is just to get them out to our schools, to the resources, to show cultural connection and unity within our diversity. And that's what Australia is. This amazing country is all about the unity and diversity and the integration and acceptance of anybody from anywhere in the world that speaks any language, that has any religion or faith beliefs. And that acceptance is something that's uniquely Australian. And so that's why I've created these books. The world is our playground. And you can just find them on Google. You can go to Amazon and get them online. And hopefully we'll see them in schools and libraries over the coming years. And then I can write more for higher levels as well. But it's a start. Thank you for watching G'day India.